Adam. Adam is a being created by an ancestral alien race billions of years ago and sent to Earth inside a vessel called White Moon. Adam's appearance is not clearly described and shown in the series. We only know that during the second impact, he appears as a large humanoid giant made of light, very similar to an Evangelion. The second impact is the catastrophic event that occurred during a scientific expedition to Antarctica. This expedition was aimed at further research on the S2 element to obtain a perpetual, an example, infinite, energy engine. The scientists, unaware, or perhaps not entirely unaware, of what consequences that research could cause, try to merge human DNA with Adam's, causing his awakening and the manifestation of an anti-AT field that leads to the alteration of the local atmospheric elements and the opening of the gates of Guf to reclaim the Earth under its dominion. The AT field, to put it simply, is basically a barrier that protects the soul of every living being and that the angels are able to extend outside their body, using it as an energy barrier capable of blocking or destroying everything. The Guf, on the other hand, is a word of Hebrew origin that carries the concept of heavenly abode, the land of souls. In other words, what those scientists have caused is a real mess. Under Seal's orders, they try to stop the monster from awakening using the Spear of Longinus, and this intervention causes the angel to self-destruct, provoking an unprecedented explosion and Adam's regression to the embryonic stage. The opening of the gates of Guf and Adam's self-destruction caused an unprecedented cataclysm, the second impact precisely, where a good part of the population dies. The Earth's axis tilts, taking away the cycle of seasons, leaving the planet in a state of perpetual summer. Adam's initial goal was to fill the Earth with his progeny through the seed of life. However, before that could happen, an unexpected event occurs. Another vessel called Black Moon crashes into Earth, causing the first impact. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that this is an event that happened millennia and millennia before the events of the series, which is not present in the animated series, but let's get back to us. This second ship was carrying Lilith, another being who possesses the Seed of Knowledge. Since two seeds cannot coexist on the same planet, one of the two entities must be inhibited by a Spear of Longinus. It so happens that the one traveling with Lilith is destroyed in the crash, and therefore Adam's is activated, inhibiting it, leaving Lilith to create life on Earth. Lilith. Lilith is the second angel. As said before, she was also created by that race of super-intelligent aliens and carries the seed of knowledge. She is considered the progenitor of humanity. That is, the one who created life with the primordial ooze, and that in millennia evolved into humans as dominant living beings on the planet. In the series, she appears as a gigantic humanoid being, fat and flabby. She is kept crucified and pierced by the Spear of Longinus in the depths of the nerve headquarters, in an area called Terminal Dogma. Her face is covered by a white mask with 7 eyes, which recalls the symbol of the SEAL organization. She has no lower body, only a mass of small humanoid legs that come out of her lower belly. Nerve keeps Lilith crucified and pierced by the Spear of Longinus to leave her dormant, and uses her as a source of LCL and as material to clone Rei Ayanami. In case you don't know what LCL is, it's completely normal. Let's say that it's nothing more than her blood, the primordial ooze that gives life, and that in the anime is mainly used to pilot the Evas and get in sync with them. Not having the element S2, Lilith does not have destructive powers like the other angels. She simply possesses the gift of life and symbolizes evolution, intelligence, and self-awareness. The name Lilith comes from the Jewish tradition, where Lilith is described as Adam's first wife, created by God before Eva. In the series, in fact, Lilith is the mother of humanity, while Adam is the progenitor of the angels. Now, I know it may seem like a boring and senseless religious reference, but it is so, and believe me when I say that it is one of the fulcrums on which the entire lore of Evangelion revolves. Before continuing our journey, I would like to ask you, if you liked the video, to like and subscribe. As you can see, our channel is still small, and any help on your side will help us to keep producing content. Sachiel. Sachiel is the third angel, but the first to appear in the series. He has a slender humanoid appearance, is amphibious, and is slightly larger than Evangelion. This angel has an unusually long physique and exaggerated proportions. He has arms that reach below his knees and elongated and thin shins and feet. The impression of his elongated legs is further emphasized by the absence of a neck. Sachiel has his core in the center of his chest, and his face is covered by a bony mask in the shape of a bird's head. A particular thing about Sachiel is that he has gills on his thighs to breathe underwater. Yes, you read that right, gills on his thighs. The goal of Sachiel and all the angels who will come after him is to reunite with Adam and unleash the third impact, to cleanse the planet of all living beings descended from Lilith, the Lilin, and resume the cycle of creation. Sachiel is able to extend her arms, launch very powerful energy beams, and use two spears that come out of her arms to pierce her enemies. In reality, more than spears, they're bones of her arms. Or, at least I think they are. Anyways, he's defeated by Unit 1 that goes berserk when Shinji, unable to pilot it, is in mortal danger. If you're wondering what berserk is, well, it's not clearly explained. Basically, the Ava 1 becomes aware and in control of itself and acts like an out-of-control beast. How it happens is not given to us to know. Shamshel. Shamshel is an angel that looks like a mega squid with the size of an Evangelion. He fights with two long energy tentacles that come out of his very short arms. If we can call them arms, of course. These tentacles are strong enough to lift an Evangelion and can also pierce the armor of an Ava with little effort. The core is located on his torso just below his head, and he has also 8 small legs similar to those of insects located just below the core. Shamshel is the second angel that appears and attacks Neo Tokyo 3 from the ocean, overcoming many defenses. He is also hindered by Shinji and Unit 1. At first, he seems to have the upper hand, given Shinji's inability to fight, who, in his panic, does not know how to deal with him, but, in the end, moved by desperation, he manages to destroy the angel's core with Ava's prog knife. Boy, what a hero! Ramiel. Ramiel is one of the largest and most powerful angels. He is the first to physically penetrate the Geofront, the headquarters of Nerve. Compared to the previous ones, Ramiel is very different and does not seem like a living being in the conventional sense, but more like a giant floating geometric object, an octahedron to be precise. His body, blue in color, seems to be made of metal or a particularly shiny mineral that makes him very hard and resistant. Ramiel attacks mainly by shooting a high or energy beam. He's so powerful that he can destroy anything in the trajectory of his beams, from buildings to Avas and even mountains, which are literally melted. Ramiel is practically a mega particle cannon, one of those that always appear mecha anime. Plus, he is sentient and almost indestructible due to his very powerful AT field. Despite having his very powerful attack to enter the Geofront, he uses a drill. You understood correctly, a drill, created by modifying the shape of his geometric body. After several attempts to hit him with surprise attacks or N2 bombs without obtaining any result, because he's able to perceive threats and counterattack in advance, and because of his very powerful AT field. To defeat him, the Nerve guys are forced to devise an absurd plan that consists of using a positron rifle charged with the electrical energy of all of Japan, and hitting him right when he charges to shoot, because it is also the only moment in which he reveals his core in the center of his body. Who could ever come up with a similar plan in your opinion? The crazy Misato, obviously. In the end, the plan succeeds and Ramiel is destroyed, and although it does not seem like he is a biological being, upon his death, in the Rebuild series, he is seen bleeding. Gaghiel. Gaghiel resembles a gigantic prehistoric creature similar to a mosasaur, and is the only aquatic angel in the series. Even now, I wonder how he plans to attack Nerve and get to Adam, but maybe these are questions that are better not to ask. As said before, Gaghiel is practically a giant fish. It has a huge mouth like a shark, and its core is located in the back of the throat. Gaghiel appears when Asuka Soryu is introduced as the third pilot of Evangelion. The angel attacks the convoy of ships that transport Ava 2, because on board of one of those ships, there's Kaji, who for some reason, not entirely explained, has the Adam embryo with him. Asuka fearlessly faces the monster, but immediately finds herself at a disadvantage due to the fact that it swims and has the ocean on its side. After several attempts to try to hit it with the Ava's weapons, Misato comes up with another brilliant plan. He decides to sink 2 warships by sending them towards Gaghiel, while Asuka holds his mouth open. How does it end? Well, our fish finds himself with 2 warships inside of his mouth, loaded with missiles ready to explode. I wonder how she gets such ideas. The one with the rifle was already at the limit of the possible, but this? Israfel. Israfel is another bizarre-looking angel. He has the ability to split into 2 smaller twin bodies and is vaguely humanoid. When the 2 bodies are joined, the angel does not seem to have any particular ability or power, except that of separating into 2 once cut. Israfel's face has a shape that resembles the yin-yang symbol and is blue and red. After being defeated, Israfel's body act in sync and cannot be destroyed individually. They're able to launch energy beams and cut anything with their sharp fingers. Compared to the angels seen before, he's not equipped with any particular destructive power, and it can be said that his true personality lies in the ability to break up and recompose the two bodies, and in fact, they cannot be killed individually. To win, the two bodies, or rather two cores, must be destroyed simultaneously. In the anime, the cores are destroyed just as the two small bodies are reuniting in the large one, leaving the cores still vulnerable to attacks. It's not explained if this is the only way to defeat him, or if it also is possible to win by destroying the two separate bodies simultaneously. I honestly don't like this angel very much. He's probably also the weakest of all. What do you think? Which is your favorite angel from the Evangelion series? Let me know in the comments. Sandalphon. Sandalphon was discovered while still in an embryonic state with a shape that vaguely resembles a human fetus. A bit disturbing looking, but let's say it resembles one. Its adult form is flattened, has two fins that look more like two mushrooms in my opinion than fins, and overall it almost looks like a fish. It is said that it is inspired by an extinct animal called Anomalocaris, which existed millions of years ago, and in fact, it can be said that it has a couple of characteristics that remind it of one. These are the ring-shaped mouth, positioned ventrally, and the large eyes located at the top of the stalks, which give it a rather funny appearance. Sandalphon has long arms that end in human-like hands, with 4 fingers and a thumb. Its core is potentially located under the left eye, but in reality, we don't know for sure. Sandalphon's physical constitution is specialized for the conditions in which he was born. That is, in the volcano, his arms are long and his hands are very strong, but despite everything, he's easily defeated by Unit 2. Personally, I think he's easily defeated because he's not yet fully adult and does not possess any particular strength or power. In fact, no particular power is shown, except the fact that he can live in lava and that he has a rather ridiculous appearance. I must say though that his plushie is very cute. Mataael. Mataael attacks when Neo Tokyo 3 is in the middle of a blackout. Mataael is a gigantic spider-like entity of the order of opilinoids, those spiders with small bodies and long legs, to put it simply. It has 4 immensely large legs, and when I say large, I mean they're taller than the buildings of Tokyo 3. It also has a relatively small central body covered by numerous eyes that seem to be painted on. These eyes are not real, but a ruse it uses to camouflage itself. Let's just say that despite this stroke of genius in camouflage, it does not go unnoticed. Its main power is secreting a highly corrosive acid from its main eye, which is located in the center of the lower part of its body. This acid is very powerful and seems to be able to dissolve anything. No other types of attacks or abilities are shown, and Mataael is simply killed with a burst of machine gun fire to its main body. Sahaquiel. Sahaquiel is the first angel to appear in Earth's orbit. He's really big in size, even compared to the other angels. Sahaquiel looks a lot like an art object. He's very colorful and has 3 eyes drawn. His shape is very strange, and he looks a lot like an unknown, one of those strange and mysterious Pokemon that have 1 eye. Come on, I know you know what I'm talking about. Sahaquiel has a very powerful AT field and can use it to destroy satellites as if it were a telekinetic power, and also allows him to not take damage from a dozen N2 bombs. The peculiarity of this angel is the ability to detach pieces of his body and make them fall to the ground, causing very powerful explosions, because, obviously, they are also explosive. Its primary purpose, which in this case I would also say its purpose in life, is to throw itself from the stratosphere onto the nerve base, self-destructing and annihilating, if not all of Japan, all Neo Tokyo 3 and the Nerve District. Sheesh, this one must not have used his evolution tokens while at birth, am I right? Come on, even Mataael has a more intelligent power than this. The angel is defeated with another crazy plan devised by Masato, which simply consists of sending the 3 Ava units to the point of impact of that thing, and stopping it with their AT field. The 3 pilots succeed in the Enterprise, and by opening a breach in its barrier, they kill it with the usual cutter provided. After death, the angel explodes, disintegrating the entire hill on which it was falling, but without damaging the Ava units thanks to their AT field. Ireul. Ireul is a really interesting angel. It consists of a colony of microorganisms, probably virus, it's able to infect anything, both organic and non-organic, and it can take control of any computer system. It's very interesting that, despite having a biological origin, it can take control of lifeless things like computers and the machinery of the nerve base. Ireul is a very adaptable angel and can change the properties of itself, evolving to overcome the environment around it. In the anime, it is shown that at first it does not tolerate ozone, but then, forced, it evolves and becomes immune to it. By taking possession of the computers of Nerve, Ireul is able to hack the Magi system and trigger the self-destruction of the entire base. Ritsuko, after understanding that the virus can overcome the Magi system by evolving and transforms every time to overcome the barriers of the supercomputer, realizes that it can induce the self-reprogramming of the angel by acting faster than him and creating a line of code that induces Ireul to self-vaccinate. Yes, self-vaccination I think is the right way to interpret it. Not that we understand much of what actually happens to him. Leliel. Leliel is an extremely bizarre entity that exists in a parallel dimension. Initially, Leliel appears to be a floating volleyball with a black and white pattern and suddenly appears on Neo Tokyo 3. However, Leliel's true body is actually the shadow of the floating body on the ground, which later turns out to be his real shadow. Okay. I think I confused you, but now I'll explain. Pay attention. Leliel is an entity made of antiparticles that exist in the void and manifest in the real world as a shadow that is 680 meters wide, but very thin, just a few nanometers thick. While the ball is the shadow he himself cast, thanks to his AT field, which is inverted. He's practically impossible to defeat in a traditional way. His real body reacts instantly when his shadow, the ball, is targeted. His power consists of sucking everything unto himself. What happens is more or less what Blackbeard does with his Logia fruit. His defeat is for me one of the most bizarre and least plausible, although obviously very spectacular. Leliel is destroyed by Eva 1 that he had trapped in his body previously, and after the robot has exhausted all its energy and Shinji has fallen into despair again, for some unspecified reason, the Eva goes berserk again and opens the angel from the inside, tearing his body and coming out practically without damage. As I was saying, this fact is very bizarre because Leliel is composed of a sea of Dirac, which, for those who don't know what that means, it's practically a concept that describes antimatter. So, in theory, everything that ends up inside Leliel should be annihilated, but this doesn't happen. And furthermore, when it's destroyed, it's not explained why the ball, the shadow, becomes his real body. Bardiel. Bardiel is an angel who has some similarities with Ireul. He's also probably composed of a set of microorganisms, but this time, it's more likely that it is similar to a parasitic fungus than a virus. He appears when a new Eva unit, the 3, is sent from America. During the air transport journey, Bardiel manages to infect the robot by hiding in some clouds. Actually, it's also likely that those clouds are the real form of the angel. However, once he arrives in Japan in one of the nerve bases, the angel takes control of Unit 3 during a simulation test and goes on a rampage destroying everything and heading to Neo Tokyo 3. The other Eva units are deployed to stop him, but unfortunately they fail, partly because the 3 is very strong and partly because they're reluctant to fight him for fear of hurting the pilot inside, Toji Suzuhara. Unit 3 demonstrates great strength and agility, comparable to the other models, if not a little more. He has a more animalistic attitude caused by the control of the parasite, and is able to extend his arms and spread his infection by making liquid come out of the Ava's body. He's defeated by the one under the control of the dummy system, a sort of computer-controlled autopilot, because Shinji refused to fight him. The 3 is massacred and reduced to a pulp. Even the entry plug is destroyed, causing serious damage to Toji. Obviously, all this happens in front of the eyes of Shinji, who helplessly can do nothing but watch and take on another dose of trauma and hatred toward his father. Poor boy. Zeruel. Zeruel is one of the most powerful angels, the most lethal in direct and conventional combat. He is among the 3 to have penetrated the Nerve headquarters, but the only one to do so through a direct assault, causing devastation on all sides. It looks like a Chinese zombie, and instead of arms, it has 2 bands of cloth that can stretch and cut anything, managing to cut off the arms and head of Unit 2 effortlessly. This energy beam is one of the most powerful and manages to penetrate the geofront with just a few hits. Zeruel also manages to survive the impact of an N2 bomb at very close range, without taking damage, and even manages to invade the command center of Nerve. He is stopped by Unit 1 in a very hard-fought battle in which the Angel was gaining the upper hand, but thanks again to the Berserk, the Purple Ava won the battle, and to celebrate the victory, well, it eats him. For those who don't know, the fact that one eats Zeruel is an important fact for the plot in the case of the Rebuild series. Ariel. Ariel is a luminescent angel who has many wings and a very small main body. The core, difficult to see due to the brightness it produces, is held outside the body between two smaller wings. It appears to be several times larger than an Evangelion, although it is difficult to make a direct comparison. Ariel uses what appears to be a specialized projection of his AT field to psychologically attack other living things. Unlike Sahaquiel, Ariel does not approach the Earth. Instead, he stays out of range of attacks that humans might launch at him. Ariel's attacks consist of a beam of light that causes the target to relive past traumas, causing a psychological breakdown. Asuka, who is already emotionally affected by the defeat suffered against Ariel, is hit by Ariel's attack while trying to hit him with a positron rifle, and suffers all the consequences, suffering a real psychological collapse, falling into depression. To defeat him, Rei is ordered to retrieve the Spear of Longinus from Terminal Dogma and throw it at Ariel with Unit 0. Even this crazy undertaking, which strangely is not conceived by Misato this time, manages to succeed, with the loss of the spear as the only cost. Armisael. Armisael initially appears as a double helix ring of light, similar to DNA. The angel can change its shape and even become thread-shaped. It can move at high speed, and its attack consists of going on its target and entering its body to merge with it. Try to imagine a luminous worm that enters you from the belly and tries to merge with your body and your mind. What would you feel? Well, whatever sensation came to mind is certainly what Rei Ayanami felt when Armisael enters the body of the Zero and tries to merge with her. Armisael is defeated by Rei, who, in an attempt to save Shinji, who came to her aid from the Angel's contagion, activates the AT field to recall Armisael in Unit 0 and blows herself up with the robot self-destruction. Tabris, also known as Kaworu Nagisa, he is the last angel to appear in the series. Unlike the previous angels, Kaworu is much more similar to Ayanami than to his brothers. Like Rei, he was born as a shell without a soul of his own, but hosts that of Adam, the first angel. It is said that Kaworu's body is the secondary result of the fusion of human DNA and Adam's body, but this has never been confirmed, and in the original series, little or nothing is known about Tabris. The fact that he is assigned to Nerve as the 5th pilot by Seal also suggests that the organization already knew of his existence. In the original series, Kaworu appears only in episode 24 as a replacement for Asuka, who is no longer able to pilot due to her psychological breakdown. It's later revealed that he is the last angel. He takes Unit 2 with him and heads to the Terminal Dogma to the end to reunite with Adam's original body. He finally discovers that what was supposed to be Adam is actually Lilith. Surprised by the fact and ended up in the hands of the Ava 1 piloted by Shinji, he lets himself be killed by him without regrets. Kaworu's role is very enigmatic in the franchise, and it is difficult to find a simple explanation for the character. His role is very symbolic and is very much up to personal interpretation. This does not take away from the fact that he is a very important character and has a more relevant role than the other angels. His role changes radically in the Rebuild series, but perhaps we'll talk about this in another video.